How does one find a teacher, the right teacher for you at this time? It's a difficult question. It's a bit like having lost your eyeglasses. You're now searching for them, but needing them to find them. So, that is to say, the most important thing in finding a teacher is that you're able to listen to yourself clearly as you respond to, connect to, receive a teacher. On the one hand, we might think that we want or need a teacher who is like ourselves. And so if we are bookish, we want a teacher who is similarly bookish. Or if we are physically oriented, we want a teacher who is in the same way, physically oriented. I would encourage you to uh, eliminate that from your considerations. And rather, and again, this is a little bit like needing to be wearing your glasses to find your glasses, but we want to be able to uh, listen to our heart, our intuition about a particular person. However old we are, we have accumulated a lot of data about humans and relationships. The trick is to uh, listen to the non cognitive processor that is always running in the background and listen uh, less strongly, perhaps a bit, to the front of the mind, making all sorts of reasons for why we may or may not do this or that. When encountering a teacher, there is an aspect of fate, of yuanfen, as we say in the Chinese tradition, of a certain number of things have to gone in a certain number of way for us to be sitting in this boat together at this particular moment. I recommend that you respect that pattern and you find yourself either once at a particular moment um, encountering a particular teacher and everything seems to be falling into place to move in that direction, then respect that and act on it. But at the same time, we need to be able to discern carefully whether this teacher is authentic, true, realized, and whether they have the capacity to transmit. Now, if you're going to a weekend workshop to learn a particular skill that you can apply to make yourself healthier and feel better, and great. But in this context, we're talking about, and in that context, you need not be so discerning. You're looking for an instructor and for someone who isn't going to transmit anything negative, but that's a pretty low bar, and I think you can make that assessment pretty clearly. But if we're looking for a mentor, a guide, a companion on a spiritual path, then the bar should be extremely high. Um, so on the one hand, there is the question of accessibility and availability, but really, in the context of the digital proliferation of teachings, um, for the most part, if there is a teacher out there uh, who's authentic and transmitting clearly, then you can study with that teacher, even if it's just receiving uh, YouTube videos. If you feel that connection, it's okay. It doesn't need to be in person. It doesn't need to be uh, up to a point, um, especially tailored to you as an individual. Later, that becomes important. But um, so you need to assess their authenticity. You need to assess their capacity. You need to assess their honesty and integrity. Um, and here's where you need to listen for any red flags that might be coming up in the back of your mind in order to separate the uh, wheat from the chaff. Um, and even if the words or the presentation is particularly persuasive, if you're getting that little reservation in the back of your mind, that hesitation, that it's not about a general fear of commitment, a general fear of actualizing one's potential, but rather is a little bit of pushback to a particular impression a person might make, a teacher might make. That's when you really need to listen. Because you know, when you meet a person, when you observe a person digitally, you know a lot more than your words or their words are conveying. It's really important to be able to listen to that. And so, in response to that, you have the opportunity to observe whether you're resonating with this particular path and this particular expression of this path. You know, a particular path might be a certain kind of flower, a certain, uh, but of the millions of iterations of this particular kind of flower, you're going to pick this one. And there may be a point in your path in which you're uh, following multiple teachers and they don't conflict. It's not an obstacle to your practice. At a certain point, it'll be an obstacle and you'll want to focus. And if you're choosing among authentic teachers with integrity and realization, it may not matter. But you can do yourself a favor by uh, listening to the uh, clearest resonance that you can perceive in your own heart. So that's it. I think that's all I have to say on the matter at the moment. Respect fate, the crossing of paths, the sharing of vessels. Respect your uh, inner voices telling you a clear yes or a tentative be careful. And have fun. Follow your joy.